Hi guys. Where to begin after a game like that? 2 minutes in, we get a penalty, and we score it. And I was just thinking, all right, Roma have lost loads of games this season. They haven't won since October. We were 1 up after 2 minutes. I was thinking, okay, we actually might do pretty well in this game. And then, pretty much from that moment on, they almost go up the other end and score off kickoff. And it was just frustrating, In the first half, Sarr and Bentancur basically ran a three-legged race. They were pretty much, tied at the hip. And Roma just kept pinging the ball over the top to the left side. It was El Shaarawy against Porro every single time. And, there was a period, especially when they scored that second goal, which was then ruled out offside. You were just thinking, God, we're going to end up losing this game. And, it was frustrating after the start we had because we had, we created all our own problems. And, it's the same story all the time. We just allow other teams to come into the game. We give them chances. And, we allowed them to settle. Their fans were loud. I was at the game and, myself included, pretty much all the fans were quiet the whole game. There was hardly any moments in that game where the crowd really got up for it. And that's not necessarily a criticism of the crowd when the players on the pitch aren't giving them really a lot to celebrate or to cheer about. Our second goal, for me, came a bit against the run of play. Roma had been pretty good up to that point. Well taken. And then, Son has a really good chance off the rebound when Kula hits the post, blasts it over from 6 yards, and you're thinking, what the hell is going on here? And it kind of continued that whole way. The first 20 minutes was kind of a lot of Roma attack. We gave the ball away so much in the midfield. I've seen some of the stats, and they look good, but from the eye test, I just saw us playing sideways passes, not doing enough to go forward, and our wingers were pretty anonymous. Thought Solanke battled hard. His first touch wasn't great, but he tried hard. He was up against 3 centre-backs, and the annoying thing for me is that Roma were there for the taking. Their defence was terrible. Their line was awful the whole game, and we just didn't take advantage of it. And then the second half, I don't know what that was, honestly. We were just shocking. The first half kind of flew by. The second half, at 60 minutes, I thought it was 85. Just very frustrating game. For me, Ben Davies was the standout. I know you'll laugh because I'm always giving Ben Davies the credit, but his passing was very decisive. He played quite a lot of balls over the top, and we didn't really capitalize on it. He won a few duels. I just thought he was very good all round. Radu was a bit shaky. He gives away that foul, a bit unnecessary. They score from it. I haven't seen the highlights yet. I'm a bit too frustrated at the moment, but I will watch it before I do my panel show tomorrow. But yeah, he gives that foul away. They score. It comes off the crossbar. It seemed to me from the stands kind of unsavable from Forster, but as I say, I haven't watched it back. And as I say, in the first half, they just pinged it over the top to the left side to El Shaarawy. In the second half, they pinged it over the top to the right side, and we just had no answers. I don't necessarily blame Ange for the draw, but for me, the one mistake he made was bringing Bergvall on. Not that Bergvall had a bad game. I just think that, for me, it was quite clear we needed to try and shut up shop. I know that's not Ange's game, and I'm not necessarily faulting him for not going super defensive. But for me, I'd have taken, when he brought on Bergvall and Maddison, I wouldn't have brought on Bergvall. I'd have brought on Destiny, and I'd have played Bissouma and Gray in the middle as the 2 and Maddison as the 10, and just played slightly more conventional 4-3-3. We didn't need to keep inverting. We played really narrow, and as I say, they just kept exploiting it time after time after time. You know, we got pretty fortunate. They had multiple goals ruled out for offside. And on another night, they could have won that game 4-2, and I don't think you could have had any complaints. And the frustration is more, we should have won that game. We had the chances to win the game. And I know I praised Solanke, but that chance not long after Maddison came on, where he's played through and he's got Maddison on the 6-yard line, and he's got an easy cutback, but he goes for the shot instead. It was very frustrating. And that kind of summed up our night. We just couldn't take the chances. They fell for us. We couldn't take advantage of Roma's poor defensive nature, in my opinion. And, you know, they get a succession of corners going into the 90th minute. And as Johnny said in his one, you know, the crowd was just so nervous. It was almost like we all knew what was going to happen. And you know, I live pretty far away, so, you know, I'll admit I normally do sort of cut off around 88 minutes. But at 2-1, what are you going to do? You can't leave that game. You knew something was going to happen, whether it was going to be us or them. But as I say, from pretty much after we scored that first goal, I never really thought we were in the ascendancy. And it was frustrating all round, really. I thought a lot of players were off it tonight. You know, I don't necessarily blame Gray, because as I say, he's not a left back. He's not left-footed. He's not even a defender. He's a centre mid. That's what we've been told. We were told in pre-season that he and Bergvall had really impressed Ange, and that's why we weren't going to sign any other players, because they were going to be coming in and, you know, they were expected to play. And, you know, here we are again, a massive win against Man City at the Etihad, and then we draw at home to a team that, you know, can't win a game in the Serie A. And we actually made them look good. Ranieri got his tactics right in the second half. And yeah, it was just poor. And we're left again feeling down after, you know, such a high after the City game. And yeah, Fulham on the weekend, it's going to be a tough game. And I was listening to someone on TalkSport talking about how, you know, it's tough for players to play Ange's system 2 games in a week because of how much they're required to run. And, you know, I was listening to his points and I was thinking, you know, he's kind of right. I didn't necessarily agree with it all, but, you know, you're asking these players to literally cover so much of the pitch the entire game. And, you know, the game management just needs to be tightened up. And that's not saying that I want to see us go to a 3 or 5 at the back and be, you know, a Conte defensive team. But I just need to see something to show us that Ange has the ability to see out these games. I know his whole philosophy is we never stop, but, you know, we never stop dropping points at the moment. And I'll end it on that. Come on, you Spurs.